Welcome to Malacca, a once overshadowed region that was transformed into a critical nexus of empires. Positioned on the strategic Strait of Malacca, this was the stage for monumental changes. The spread of Islam, the tug of war among colonial powers, and the rise of a multicultural nation. Its story epitomizes the spirit of Malaysia, charting the nation's rise to global prominence. Explore the dynamic history of Malacca, from its tranquil beginnings to its vibrant modern-day rhythm. Long before it rose to the world stage, Malacca was a relatively serene part of the Malay Peninsula, marked by lush jungles and bordered by meandering rivers that flowed into the strategic Strait of Malacca. The region was abundant with resources, yet disconnected from the vibrant trade networks that animated the northern areas, like the Bujang Valley. In those northern areas, life was markedly more dynamic. Communities thrived on sophisticated trade, with bustling markets that sold a variety of goods, from exotic spices to hand-woven textiles. These northern regions, centered around early Hindu-Buddhist influence, were studied with impressive temple complexes and frequented by foreign traders. The contrast between the north and the quiet life in Malacca, where local Malay and indigenous Orang Asli populations lived in stilt houses and subsisted mainly on fishing and simple agriculture, was stark. The turning point for this tranquil area came with the arrival of Parameswara in the early 15th century. A prince displaced by political turmoil in Sumatra, he recognised the untapped potential of Malacca's strategic location. Positioned at the narrowest point of the Malacca Strait, the area was perfect for becoming a rest stop and later a thriving port for weary traders navigating between the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. As dawn broke over the Malay Peninsula in the early 15th century, the stage was set for Malacca's meteoric rise from obscurity to preeminence. Parameswara's visionary leadership transformed the quiet backwater into a bustling port city, leveraging its location along one of the world's busiest maritime routes. The region's conversion to Islam was initiated by Sultan Iskandar Shah, the successor to Parameswara, marking a pivotal transformation in its trade and cultural landscape. This change positioned Malacca as a leading Islamic port in Southeast Asia, reflecting Parameswara's strategic foundation but not his religious legacy. Under Islamic influence, Malacca flourished into a cosmopolitan hub, attracting traders from across the Asian continent and beyond. Arab merchants mingled with Indian traders, while Chinese junks unloaded silks and porcelains. The local economy was invigorated by the influx of diverse goods, from Persian carpets to Sumatran spices, making the city a melting pot of cultures and religions. With Islam as the new socio-political framework, Malacca implemented a legal system based on Islamic law, which further solidified its position as a reputable and stable place for international trade. The Sultanate's strategic prowess was not just in commerce, but also in forming alliances. Marriages between the Malay royalty and foreign dignitaries were common, weaving a network of familial ties that secured Malacca's political influence across the seas. These alliances were crucial, fortifying Malacca's naval strength against potential threats and securing its trade routes. By the mid-15th century, Malacca's fame had reached far and wide, drawing the attention of the powerful Ming dynasty in China. The ensuing relationship with the Chinese emperor resulted in significant diplomatic and trade support, enhancing Malacca's standing in regional geopolitics. The city became a focal point for demonstrating the power and reach of Islam, adorned with grand mosques and madrasas, educating and converting scores of seafarers passing through its ports. In 1511, the fall of Malacca to Portuguese forces marked a pivotal shift in the region's balance of power. Yet, the spirit of the Malaccan Sultanate did not end with the city's capture. Many of Malacca's nobles and traders fled south, where they established the Sultanate of Johor. While Johor inherited some of Malacca's maritime traditions and networks, it developed its own unique political and economic identity, adapting to new regional challenges and opportunities. Johor, strategically positioned at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula, became a key player in the ongoing resistance against European colonialism, though it also faced significant challenges from other regional forces. The Sultanate actively engaged in diplomacy and military alliances with regional powers to counter Portuguese and later Dutch encroachments. Johor's rulers understood the geopolitical landscape. They navigated complex relationships with neighbouring Sumatra and forged alliances with the Achinese to strengthen their maritime capabilities. During this period, Johor also vied with the Dutch East India Company, which sought to monopolise the lucrative spice trade. Johor's leaders adeptly played European powers against each other, maintaining a degree of autonomy and control over regional trade routes. Their strategy was clear: to ensure no single foreign power could dominate the Malay archipelago, as the Portuguese had attempted with Malacca. Moreover, Johor's rulers capitalized on their historical and familial ties to the fallen city of Malacca. These connections were strategic, fostering a sense of continuity and legitimacy for Johor's rule among the Malay people and other regional actors. The Sultanate became a custodian of Malay culture and Islamic tradition, much like Malacca had been. As we continue to explore Malacca, you bring these stories to life. Each like, share, and comment helps us shape the journey. Subscribe to continue this adventure with us, and share your Malaysian insights in the comments. Together, we're uncovering the hidden world. By the early 16th century, Malacca had transformed into a coveted prize in the eyes of European powers, drawn by its lucrative control over the spice trade routes. The Portuguese conquest in 1511 marked the beginning of European colonial domination in Southeast Asia, but it was merely the opening chapter in Malacca's colonial saga. Over the next centuries, control of this strategic port would pass from Portuguese hands to the Dutch in 1641 and finally to the British in 1824. Each colonial power left its distinct imprint on Malacca. The Portuguese erected the famous A Famosa fortress, a massive structure intended to assert their military might and protect their precious new asset. However, their rule was marked by frequent attacks and persistent resistance from the local Malay forces and their Johor allies. Under the Dutch, Malacca became a pivotal administrative outpost for the Dutch East India Company. The Dutch enhanced the city's infrastructure, constructing Christ Church and the Stadhuis, which stand today as hallmarks of Dutch colonial architecture. The British takeover through the Anglo-Dutch Treaty of 1824 initiated a new phase. integrating Malacca into the Straits settlements alongside Penang and Singapore. This era ushered in significant administrative and economic challenges, aligning Malacca's policies with British interests in the region. The British significantly expanded rubber plantations, which had been introduced into Malaya earlier, thus reshaping the economic landscape. Later in the 20th century, palm oil cultivation began contributing significantly to the region's economy, continuing the trend of agricultural innovation. Throughout these tumultuous centuries, the people of Malacca adapted to the shifting tides of power. They navigated the complexities of life under foreign rule by blending imported European customs with their rich local traditions. Commerce continued to thrive, albeit under the strict regulations imposed by colonial governments, and Malacca became a melting point of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and European influences. As the 20th century progressed, Malacca was at the heart of Asia's surging wave of nationalism. The decline of European colonial influence after the Second World War ignited a demand for independence throughout the Malay Peninsula, echoing loudly in Malacca. The region saw a revival of its distinct identity and a forceful call for autonomy. Leaders like Tunku Abdul Rahman, destined to become Malaysia's first Prime Minister, spearheaded the independence movement. Across Malaya, including in Malacca, grassroots activism flourished, pushing back against the British proposed Malayan Union, which threatened local sovereignty. This activism helped establish the Federation of Malaya in 1948, a crucial step towards self-governance. Independence was officially declared in 1957, and Malacca, rich in colonial history, celebrated vibrantly. Historic sites such as Padang Pahlawan, once a parade ground for colonial power, transformed into a celebration space for the newly freed nation. Efforts to preserve and restore Malacca's architectural heritage began in earnest, symbolising the reclamation of cultural identity. These landmarks stand today not just as relics of the past, but as monuments to Malacca's triumphant journey to independence. Today, Malacca is proof of Malaysia's multifaceted history and rich culture. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2008, together with Georgetown in Penang, the city attracts millions of tourists annually, drawn to its well-preserved buildings, ancient ruins, and bustling night markets. The once sleepy village is now a modern city, bustling with cafes, museums, and galleries that narrate its storied past. Economically, Malacca has diversified beyond its historical trade routes into manufacturing, technology, and green energy sectors, reflecting broader trends in Malaysia's economic development. Culturally, Malacca remains a vibrant melting pot, with its festivals and daily life enriched by Malay, Chinese, Indian, and the distinct Eurasian community stemming from Portuguese descent. Its strategic location continues to make it a critical point in maritime logistics, echoing its ancient role as a trade hub. Malacca's journey from a modest trading post to a pivotal global crossroads encapsulates the essence of Malaysia's rich heritage. As it continues to blend tradition with modernity, Malacca remains a living museum, proof of the enduring spirit of its people and the allure of its history. For more captivating adventures and explorations of incredible places around the world, don't forget to click the video on screen now. Your next journey awaits, Happy travels!